So far so good. Let me just see. Certainly oddball. Nah, now it's sticking again. People keep saying to me, do this, do that, do this, do that, do the other. Oh, try this and try that. I'm sick of saying it. I can sit here, or I can be anywhere. I can go into YouTube, I can go into Google Hangouts, I can do anything and it all works instantly. And recently, as soon as I hit that live button, the whole fucking thing seems to go to shit. I don't even know if I'm fucking on again. I don't know. Saying I'm on. Right, showing me that I'm there. No chat box. Chat box is there. How you doing, people? Don't even know if you can hear me. So anyhow, as I was saying, I'm just going to try anyhow. When we're talking about exploring the world, the objective reality that we all share, we have to have a baseline. The baseline for me is practical reference. And what we see continually from the globe earth proponents is they don't have anything practical. And when they try and offer you something practical, it's usually a false equivalence, where they will take one physical example and try and superimpose that and assert that that somehow proves the claims that they're making. So anybody that knows that one of the main things that I'll utilise is water. And when we say, you know, show me bendy water as a kind of joke, you know, what I mean by that is a standing body of water being bent around the exterior of an object, conforming to the exterior of the object and displaying that bend upon its surface, because that's the claim. And we don't care about excuses like, oh, earth gets in the way, earth gets in the way, I can't show you. That's just religious bullshit, because as we're about to see here, that they can show you practical demonstrations of a false equivalence. It's funny that, how they can show you that, but they can't show you the real representation of what they're actually claiming. I need to check this just in case somebody's letting me know that I'm no live or whatever. Right, nice one, Mick. Cheers. So, I'm going to start here. As I was saying, if we missed it in the first little video before I had to switch it off, the coronavirus stuff and whatever else, what I would be very cautious of is a new system going to be offered. Things are going to be uncomfortable for a while, and then it's going to appear that you're being offered a better way of life. Because for me, that would always be the plan. Because first and foremost, the most important thing is that us, the occupants of this area, do not ever question the surrounding perimeter and what's beyond the perimeter that's been laid out. You can fight amongst yourselves, you can argue about philosophical ideas and notions about spirituality and our existence, and you can meander with your contemplations till you're blue in the fucking face. That's fine. That's fair game. We'll even fund that for you. But do not ever question the room, because all the lies, the delusions of man are built upon a faulty premise. And that is the foundations that you exist upon are something else. In this case, a spinning, wobbly, rotund space testicle zipping through a vacuum. A total and utter absurdity. an absurdity that only exists in the mind of the bewildered. Put there by sophistry, language, and images presented to you on your TV screen. It's a psychological constraint mechanism. A sphere is finite. There is no way off for you. What they've showed you is all that exists, and everything therein has been discovered. Therefore, there's no reason for you to be intrigued about anything other than fantasy and delusion, and chase that until the day you die. So, I get video recommendations from morons that I don't even watch. In this case, a guy called Wolfie. The video titled, "Show Me Bendy Water." Now what this dipshit doesn't realise is that he's debunking his own concept, while at the same time trying to utilise a false equivalence, a misrepresentation of his actual belief and claim.
Excellent video that I just watched.
Shut up, you tit. Don't want to hear you.
Right. On my channel. I haven't seen it before, but it very clearly demonstrates that we can have bendy water. What is even more interesting...
What I would like these people to answer is their stance now changed? Have they now changed their stance to the Earth as a tank-shaped containment, which would be probably more likely than what it actually is? Have they now changed to that, and that they're now asserting that the tank spins? What's happening here with this water is that the force that was created, the pressure that was created in order to revolve the tank, because motion requires pressure, motion requires that something presses something else, a lever, to make something else move. So the initial force utilised in this scenario here would either have been some sort of motorised device, or it was pushed by hand on top of a spinning table. So the force was pressure. One of the effects of this motion, which is spin, is that we get a centrifugal effect, which means it starts to separate and gets pushed outwards to the outer glass.
Is later in the video, they spin the tank with fish, and as you can see, the fish have no trouble at all swimming around normally while the tank is rotating. What is it?
How does he know? Did he morph into a fish? That's like saying, let's go and do a fast lap of an oval in a car, and when we get to the bends, because you never came out your seat, you sat there with no discomfort whatsoever. Everybody knows that we experience centrifugal effect. Everybody knows this. So how does he know the fish are not adjusting for it? Because I bet you they are adjusting for it, because they will be experiencing the effect of being pushed outwards as this thing rotates. But the pomposity of this guy and the absolute stupidity is for him to assert that he has, morphed into a fish. He's a shapeshifter. He can change into fish. He jumped in that tank, had a wee experience of it, and then came back out and said, it was just normal. What a complete and utter dipshit this guy is.
Even more interesting is that the orientation of the fish changes depending upon where they are in the tank.
That's right. And if we put enough force, pressure on the tank to spin it fast enough, the water will separate here. There will be no water in the middle, and the water would go to the outer walls. The fish would now be orientated so that the wall here and the wall here, depending on which side they were on, would be their reference of down.
Where we simply have the force of gravity, the fish have a normal orientation. At the ends, where we have a combination of gravity and centrifugal force, they are responding...
Stop saying gravity. There's no gravity. Gravity is the upward force of the earth. Right? Because from where I stand right now, that is the only thing that we can utilise in regard to practical references and a practical understanding of motion and direction, as I will get to in the next clips.
To the resultant of that force. So they're basically swimming as if that direction.
He's that stupid that he even calls it a force. He's that fucking stupid. The initial force, pressure, was the thing that instigated the motion of the tank. Now once the tank's in motion, there is effects therein. One of the effects is centrifugal, as we can see happening here.
Down. On the left hand side, they're acting as if that direction is up and down. It's a very good video.
The reason I take the tone with these people is because I just have no tolerance for, I've got serious contempt for dishonest, cretinous liars like this guy. Claims he's an intellectual, claims he's a pilot and all this rubbish. Doesn't even understand the geometry that's assumed for flying his aircraft. Just ignores it. Instead opts for visible phenomena that he can't quantify. And then utilises these false equivalencies as somehow proof of water conforming and sticking to the outside of a spinning testicle. What a piece of shit you are, Wolfie son.
Play it now.
You can see here, more force, more pressure, that being the faster the spin, we get less here, and it all starts to shift here. If you keep spinning it fast enough, what you're going to get is a parallel here to here of the water on the outside panels. So on this side, your down would be there, on that side, your down would be there, always outward. I'm going to stop sharing the now just to make some more points, and then we're going to utilise some of the other videos here. So again, if you've heard it all before, whatever, I'm just going to keep rubbing salt in these open wounds of the globular earth. So in the instance that we just seen, we're talking about centrifugal. Okay, because there's a direction outwards to the spin. Now we all know the claims of gravity. Gravity is a pulling force. Right? When we have shown and demonstrated, and you can demonstrate this to yourself, there is no such thing as pull as a force. To make anything move, there must be pressure applied to it. Pull is only a descriptor for something coming closer to something else. Okay? Now bear with me a wee second here. I don't know if Gav's here because I think Gav was going to come in. Let me see. Just bear with me a wee second here. Again, what this guy doesn't realise is that he's shown, because as I've stated before, where do we get direction? What dictates direction? Direction must be the floor pushing against your feet, because that's your reference point of down. That's what denotes a downward direction. I'm going to show you Einstein's equivalence principle and how even there it's acknowledged what I'm saying to you. And then usual, try to contort it to make it fit some abstract concept that totally shits all over the top of demonstrable reality. Now I'm getting the issues again. Don't even know if I'm live. Waiting in the Hangouts to fucking load up. not going to get to me. I'll just pre-record videos and put them up and show these things. Fuck them. Makes no difference to me. Minor inconvenience. It's taking for fucking ever. Let me see. Mr. Loan. Doesn't look like it. Chat box moving. Fuck it, Hangouts isn't working, Gav. I don't know if you're there, but send me a message if you're there. I'll try it again. Anyhow, let me just see here. No worries, mate. Just going to assume I'm still working here. So what I was pointing out before is that we have density layers and we have direction. Okay, so everybody understands that we have density layers and we have direction. Now the question you always have to have is, how does that happen? What dictates that? Now the globular earth will try and invoke gravity as being the cause of that, when we know fine well that there is no such thing as any sort of force that creates pull. You have to have some interaction. Something has to be pressing, causing a pressure on something else in order to make it move. So when we see in these examples of a helium balloon, we can understand it with the ear, right? Even in these examples, you're going to see it. What you're going to see here is as the car turns left, you get a shift in the opposite direction. Sorry, it will go with the turn. If it turns left, the balloon will go left. Turns right, the balloon will go right. Because what's happening is the air inside is being compressed to the outer wall opposite. Okay? Now when it does that, it becomes more dense, and that density is what forces the helium balloon forward or away from it. You can see. If you look here at the outside, you'll be able to see what way they're turning. Now as you continue left, you can see here that the helium balloon is moving in that direction. Whereas you, the density of you, when you turn to the left, your body weight is shifting outwards, centrifugal effect. Okay? So it's the same here. The air within the cabin is being pushed to the outer wall, creating a more dense layer. Then that pushes back on the helium balloon, forcing it in that direction. Okay.
We're zooming into the center of the sculptor void.
We're zooming into a fucking picture.
It's the largest void in the nearby universe. This will take us to a place with as little gravity as we can find.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to come back to me for a second. Now, we've had this discussion before. So, zooming in to a place where there's as little gravity. So we'll just call it a void. We'll call it a three-dimensional space of nothing. Just space. There's nothing in it. Right? In it, we have an object. The object has a density to it. It has a set form and volume. The object has no weight and it has no direction. The only way for it to get weight and direction is for something moving, in this case we'll make it there, coming into contact with it, pushing against it and making it go in a particular direction. Now the object has an orientation. The orientation of the object for its down is now opposed to the point of the force, the pressure. The platform that's coming into contact with it is made of a solid material. It resists this object, which is also made of a solid material. Now the object has weight because it has resistance. That's how you get direction. That's how things go downwards. Same as in the car example. I know I'm repeating it, I don't care for those of the people that maybe don't get it or never understood it the first time. So again, we'll make a wee enclosure in the same void, nothing. Now, we can put air, liquid, solid in there, and it's not just going to be randomly, not going anywhere. So if I put a piece of solid rock here, it's just going to stay there. If I put some water here, it's just going to stay there. If I put gas, it's not going to go anywhere either. Now, as soon as we have the moving aspect coming into contact with it, pushing it in a particular direction, what's going to happen to all this stuff is that the flow is going to come up and start to meet it. It's going to be compressed downwards. So stuff that is more dense, solid matter, is going to form layers at the bottom. Then the less dense stuff is going to form layers above. Understand? Can also demonstrate that to you. I'll come back to the Einstein's equivalence principle in a wee second. Let's just have a wee look at this. Where is it?
When a liquid containing suspended materials is allowed to stand for some time, the heavier particles will settle down through a process called sedimentation. This can be used to separate the material from the liquid. But what will we do if the suspended material is very light? It will take days to settle. In such cases, we can use the process of centrifugation to quicken the process of sedimentation. Centrifugation is the
In this case, it's centrifugation, spinning. Okay, but the motion has to be there, and the motion is what creates a separation of the densities.
Process of separating substances of different densities from a mixture with the help of a centrifuge. Let us conduct an experiment to see centrifugation. For this we need a handy centrifuge machine, muddy water, mixture of calcium carbonate and water, 4 centrifuge test tubes. Take the sample of muddy water and place the test tubes in the centrifuge machine. Now take the calcium hydroxide mixture in the test tubes and also place them in the centrifuge machine. Rotate the machines fast for few minutes. Stop rotating. Remove the test tubes and observe. We see mud particles and white precipitate have settled in each of the test tubes. This is the process of centrifugation. In a centrifuge, as we rotate, the substances experience centrifugal force away from the center, which forces the materials against the wall of the tube. The amount of centrifugal force experienced by any object depends on its mass and the speed of rotation. The components of a mixture get separated because the denser particles are forced to the bottom while the lighter ones stay at the top. So with an increase in the speed of rotation, even lighter materials can settle down. Centrifugation is used in diagnostic labs for blood and urine tests.
So, what I'm trying to point to here is an understanding of how we get density layers, how we get direction, and how we have weight. Okay? Now, these are practical references. We can demonstrate these things in everyday existence, everyday reality, that shows that that has to be the case. So, what are we then looking at? Because as I say, the globular concept is an absolute disaster in regards to this. Because what the globular concept's going to have to try and invoke is that the earth is in some sort of medium, right? So we can understand it in the principles of like water. So say we've got a body of water here, right? And we're submerged and we put a sphere in there, right? Now we know that the pressure is acting equally in every direction on the surface of that sphere, right? So this is the only option that they would possibly have, is that the earth is within some sort of medium. Now its presence forces some flow of some ethereal type thing that goes from here right in to a central point, which means it would have to be working through the earth in every direction towards a central point. But what are we looking at? Nothing. It's just a word. Gravity. Gravity. Oh, mass creates it. It warps and bends space, time and all this rubbish. Well, space has no properties and neither does time. So you're no warping and bending anything. So you can't have an inwards flow towards a central point, which would be pressing on objects from above, pushing them towards the centre of the earth, but they meet the earth and get resisted. Okay, that's what would have to be happening. But that's only in a static sense, where you can kind of lend them some sort of, possibility. But then we have to start rotating this fucking thing. So now this magical stuff is now acting through the earth while it's rotating, right? And it's somehow latching onto objects and winding them in to the surface of the earth. Total and utter fucking lunacy. Absolute gimpy, retarded, gibberish nonsense. As you don't understand it, you're fucking right I don't, because it's total gibberish. You have got nothing practical in any way, shape or form to demonstrate any of these absurd, stupid fucking claims. Not only that, you want to assert to people that this spinny wobbly fucking earth, right, going in fucking running circles and spinning and going all different directions is keeping water clung to the outside of it as it spins on its axis going round the fucking sun.
Now imagine that you're in an elevator at the center of this great void. You're not accelerating. You're weightless in an inertial frame.
Aye, you'd have to be weightless because nothing's coming into contact with you yet. You can have mass and form, and so can the ball, but it has nothing. There's no weight, it has no direction, it has diddly squat.
Stuck to the bottom with Velcro boots. You're holding a ball. If you let go, it would float in place. Now imagine that the elevator starts accelerating at a constant velocity.
Constant velocity. Constant. No constantly having to accelerate.
You will now feel a force pulling you down.
Oh, see what I mean? This is how sneaky these fuckers are. A force pulling you down. No. What would happen is that the earth's coming up and pressing against your feet. And because you have mass, solidity, you are going to be resisted by the floor of this, in this case, the elevator or whatever they're calling it. Okay? So you don't feel anything pulling on you. You feel the pressure of the upward force pressing on your feet.
Let go of the ball again. This time, it falls to your feet. No matter where you let go of the ball, it will feel the same force and fall to the bottom of the elevator. In other words, at every point in space inside the elevator, a force is felt. This is a force field.
Aye. And in our case, being within the earth is pressing against us and continually moving in uniform motion to do so. Now you can think what you like and say whatever you like about propaganda. The fact of the matter is you cannot rebut this in any way, shape or form. You have to start invoking all sorts of nonsense. Let me just stop a minute. As I said so many times before, the only other possibility that you have is that you have 2 points of reference and we would be here. Okay? Now what we would require is a downwards flow of something, whatever you want to imagine, going from top to bottom, which would give us a direction. But this thing must be permeating everything and be responsible for creating the density layers. So what would be flowing from top to bottom? Electromagnetism, magnetism, electric flow, whatever people want to envision or imagine. So we're in some static system that doesn't go anywhere, so it must be fixed to something. So now we've got the question of, well, what's surrounding it? Right? And what's causing this downwards direction, this flow of something that's coming from the top to the bottom? We don't have anything. We don't have anything that we can relate to or bring forth as a practical reference in any way, shape or form to demonstrate this. We see wee slight effects, utilising different components. But we don't get it acting on every substance. Every substance is subject to the downwards direction. Every substance is subject to density layers, where it will get to the point of, the density layer. So we see it in examples of liquid. Everything. No exceptions. We don't have an example in this case. We certainly don't have an example of spinny, rotund balls causing a centrifugal effect with a mystical magic that counteracts it and somehow works through the spinning ball, works through the centrifugal spin and grabs onto stuff and winds it in to keep it there on the sphere. Or is it spinning through some material that it's warping and that material's now flowing inwards through the earth to a central point? This is gibberish. This is mathematical jargon that's got no relationship to any sort of practical reference in reality whatsoever. Nothing. I can demonstrate to you how I can create separation of density utilising motion. I can demonstrate to you how I can give direction to something using motion. Demonstrable versus language, concept, gibberish. I know where I'm going to stand, and right now I stand on the side of practicality because that's all we have.
The elevator's acceleration has created a force field inside the elevator.
So all these Star Trek words that you use, force field. Force field, beam me up, Scary. Yeah, get on the holodeck. Rustle me up some more crack cocaine, some heroin, so that we can imagine fantasy forces and fucking gibberish.
Acceleration of the ball follows Newton's second law of motion, that force equals mass times acceleration.
Yes, and the ball is also is the opposite to that moving upwards. Just like when you put a plumb line out, what's that reacting to? Oh, stuffs and magic reasons and stuff like that. I mean,
now turn off the engines to return to an inertial frame. You're not accelerating. It's dark. You turn on a flashlight and watch the light reflect off the far elevator wall. Start the elevator accelerating again at a constant rate. Turn on your flashlight and watch the light beam hit the far wall further down than it did when you were at rest. The light bends down.
Doesn't it?
Now let's take a look at what a person outside the elevator looking in would see when we drop a ball and shine a light. The person outside the elevator is not accelerating. When the person in the elevator lets go of the ball, the person outside the elevator sees that it still hovers in place, just as before. He sees that the elevator moved up to hit the ball. There is no force acting on the ball. There is no force field inside the elevator. And when the person in the elevator turns on the flashlight, the person outside the elevator sees the light travel in a straight line as before. He sees that it's the elevator's wall moving up that causes the light to hit it at a lower point. The light does not bend. Who is right? Before Einstein's general theory of relativity, we would have said the inertial observer was correct, and the person in the elevator was fooled into thinking he is in a gravitational field. But according to general relativity, they are both right in their own reference frame. Gravitational forces have materialized for the person in the elevator due to its accelerated motion.
When it says gravitational forces, what it means is that there's a downwards direction. Right? No some magic where it can be static, so that the elevator can be static, and you put some magic here at the centre of the base, and it somehow pulls the ball towards the base of the fucking elevator. This is what I'm saying about them. They're actually showing you these things and laughing at you. And then you've got globe zealots who think that they understand these things, but they don't even realise that they're debunking their own stupid concept. Because this only works with uniform, straight line motion. No spinny, rotating, gyrating testicles. When we spin something here within this reference frame, you have to apply force to it, pressure, because you need to overcome the forces of the reference frame.
According to general relativity, this gravitational field is as real as one created by the existence of a massive object.
So here we go.
To see this
is where I just jumped switcheroo. So all of a sudden we went to practical reference, demonstration, demonstrable, factual reality, to fucking this nonsense. Now, what you've just witnessed there, try and apply that to a fucking sphere. Right? The only way that would work is if you were right here at the fucking tap. Right here. Right? Because as soon as you go there, you're going to start to skite off here. Right? Because there's going to be an imbalance. You need the uniformity, you need the level. As soon as you start putting that into rotation and making it go in all different directions, this no longer applies. So they've swapped this and inverted it to this bollocks and made it spin and invoked a mystical magic that's in here at the centre that works through all the materials all the way into space like invisible fucking rods or something that grabs onto stuff and winds it in because there's a wee fishing reel in here somewhere, winds stuff in until it meets the surface of the earth where there's resistance and then it settles on the surface. Total gimpy, idiotic morons. I'm showing you that because they've been telling you. They've been telling you. Never mind that they're using cartoons in the examples. The main thing is that you understand. So you ask yourself the question. We have direction. We have weight. And we have densities. Now how are you going to get those? Because something's got to be moving. Now the only options that I've gave you is that there's a top-down flow of something that we don't know about yet that comes from the top to the bottom. Or the earth is moving uniformly towards your feet. You could also invoke other instances. So, utilising the centrifugal type notion. There's some problems there with that for me. Because if we're looking from the top down, we'd have to be tethered to something. Like we all know the whole bucket, swing a bucket analogy that the globe believers like to try and use. Another false equivalence misrepresentation. Right? Oh look, swing a bucket. That's how we stick to the earth. That's not what you've been claiming. Now in the example of a bucket, that's a bucket by the way. Right? And we're tethered, and that is now being spun in a particular direction. Doesn't matter what direction. What you're going to get is a centripetal, right? Tension here, right? The centrifugal's the outward. Okay, so we would then be stuck to the bottom here like this, and this would be our down. So it doesn't matter if it comes up to here. That would still be your down. Your down would still always be outwards away from the central point of the tether. Okay? So in that scenario, you would maybe have a case. But in this scenario, you've got to ask the question, would that be enough to compress all the air? Would the air react to all that? Would the gas react to it? Could we get all the density layers from that? Well, we've seen it in the centrifuge. It's a possibility, but my only issue is when we start to talk about the gases. Exactly, Trackmatic, that's the other point. Throw a ball on a merry-go-round, it will not come directly down. So you'd have deflection. Coriolis effect. Again, the problem is that people don't want to touch any of this. They ignore it and they keep making idiotic statements. The Earth's immovable, stationary. Why do people keep saying that? Because you heard it from some guru, rather than thinking about things yourself. Because there's an issue if it's static. What's it stuck to? And what is creating the direction? Feathers are less dense than the gold, but a ton of feathers and a ton of gold both weigh the same. They've got different density. What's your point? There you go, one man, he's a detector. This is where people's minds have to be, because it's based on practical reference. Now, based on that understanding, now try and apply that to a globe. Spinning on its axis, while it's travelling round the sun at 65,000 miles an hour, while the sun's gone at 500,000 miles an hour, round the galactic fucking centre or whatever shite they want to say. And that's all moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's lunacy. Blatant lunacy to the point of it is just a joke. And anybody at this point that still believes in it is subject to a fucking joke and deserves to be ridiculed. Guys like Wolfie know fine well that he's telling lies. An information vandal. Guys like him are. Again, more reasons for why they will never come and sit in front of somebody like me. They'll just run about YouTube misinforming people, laughing at them, keeping them stupid, and willfully participating in that act. Get any of them to come in here and rebut what I've just demonstrated for you here. Because they cannot. Only thing they can do is ignore it, hand wave, dismiss it, and carry on with a religious rhetoric as usual. They're no honest skeptics. They have no integrity. They're no interested in truth or progression of truth whatsoever. They're only there to defend a religious bias for whatever reason. Well, that's the absurdity of gravity. Look at it in a plain sense, right? So again, we're looking from top down. Okay, you're looking down at it. See, we've got a merry-go-round and we're rotating it, right? Now, we all know that if you stand in the centre, you feel less of the effect. As you move towards the outside, you feel more of the effect, to the point if you're spinning it fast enough and you're here, you're going to get flung off. So remember, you're looking at it top down here, right? Now, what they're trying to say is that gravity is some imaginary rope type thing that's attached to you, so if you start to walk out here, it's holding on to you magically. So that you get just out here to the edge, it just keeps you there perfectly and you don't go fucking flying off. If people are not lazy, they've experienced reality. They do understand physics because you've experienced it. What's happened is it's been inverted in your mind and bastardised into some utter lunacy. To the point now that you believe you're on the exterior of an oblate spheroid with fucking warped, bent oceans as it fucking rotates, and it's all held together by some magical entity. And somebody at me comes along and says, no, it's quite fucking simple. If you've got an object in three-dimensional empty space with nothing, it has no direction, it has no weight, then you need to bring in some sort of reference frame that's moving in uniform motion. And as that moves and comes into contact with the object now has a direction of down. The object will move through the density layers until it reaches the point that it can't penetrate the resistance. Just as you've seen in the centrifuge example, where the more dense particulates will move to the bottom, the less dense particulates will be kept in the layers above. That complies with actual demonstrable reality. No, Stalin, they still have to invoke, it doesn't matter, rim velocity, it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour. They still have to invoke a magic, that you're tethered by some invisible magical rope that's keeping you on the earth as it rotates. They've quite clearly showed you. They're showing you in their thought experiment, that you need a reference frame moving towards the objects. That's not happening in the globular earth. That's not happening. You've got a spin happening, no a uniform motion towards objects. If you're in the void, this is how fucking ridiculous it is. If you're in that void, you've no direction, no weight, nothing, right? And then I bring in a spinny fucking testicle, spinning, right? And I bring it towards you. What's going to happen is that it's going to skite off you and you're going to get into a fucking spin and start fucking spinning away off like that as it skites by you. The only way that you can get the testicle to keep you on it is by moving it uniformly towards you like that so that it comes into contact with you, right? But as I say, now it's got, you can't change the direction of it, because if you stand here, same applies. As it keeps moving, you're just going to skite off and spiral down this way. Utter fucking retards. You're a retard if you still believe it. You don't need to believe me. Get out into reality and play with reality and it'll fucking show you. Because I'm no lying. Exactly, Trackmatic. I know you understand this. Again, Trackmatic's another channel that people really need to be checking out. And before I go this evening, I need to shout out a couple of other channels. But for the purposes of understanding how things actually work in physical reality, Trackmatic's another good channel for it. Any questions? Any rebuttals? My focus is on the chat here for interactions of rebuttals. There's no point in waiting until the stream's finished, because I will be deleting all globular proponents and their gibberish. The opportunity is here and now to tell me why I'm wrong. minutes is still giving me grief here. There we go. Stallion, what are you talking about? What's keeping you on the earth, Stallion? What's keeping you on the earth as it spins and moves round the sun? What's keeping you there? Gravity! Gravity! There's never any takers. Never any. Do you know why? Because no real person of any integrity that's got the ability to reason would ever deny this. Only cult lunatics will try and deny it. But yet they don't even have the gumption, the cojones to come in here and try and deny it, because they know I'm just going to make them look ridiculous. Where's the gob in the chat? Get in here then. Gravity, but you don't believe it. It's not a demonstrable thing. It's a mathematical concept that has no relationship to reality whatsoever. So it's up to you to define what you actually mean and then demonstrate it. There's no point in going, gravity. Because all I'll say is that, well, that's because the Earth's moving to meet it, which is in alignment with the laws of motion and demonstrable reality. Yours isn't it? It's an good point, FPV Angel. It should be leaving a trail behind it. But it's no. Because it's not real. Open a voice channel so I can destroy all your arguments. It's not an argument, son. It's fact. Demonstrable facts. You only have words. You need to twist and bastardise practical demonstration in order to fit your faulty, religious, childlike worldview. So don't make excuses. Tell us right here and now. Or come in here and tell me to my face why I'm wrong. I predict you will shite your knickers and run away. Well, if they don't act stupid, I'll no shout at them, Martin, because I have zero tolerance for blatant stupidity, and even less for blatant liars. What do you think gives us direction in weight then, monatomic radio? And up is only relative to you here within the reference frame. So, again, don't just say these things. You must have something that you can offer. Genuinely, it's just an attraction towards the centre of what's in this case the core. There is nothing to not believe about it. What do you mean by attraction? We're back to this fucking stupid shite again. This, again, it's part of these religious zealots. Two objects. Right? Now, dipshitties here, because one's a bit bigger, thinks that somehow, magically, this can make, with nothing going on in here, can make this one go towards it. If there was a surrounding pressure or some sort of field or whatever, and you relieved pressure within this region and then the surrounding pressure pushed it inwards, then you might have a case. But that's not what you're claiming. What you're claiming is just reasons. There's absolutely no fucking way that that object can make that object go any fucking where. The only way that that object can make that object move is if it comes into contact with it here, like it comes in motion and presses against it. Or you've got a wee guy in there that casts out some sort of fucking hook round the back of it and then uses lever mechanisms, push, pressure, to wind it in towards you complete and utter fruitcake. I'm going to keep rubbing fucking salt in the wounds of this stupid, idiotic concept. I'm never going to get away. No worries, Eyewise shut. I'll check it in a minute. Must have a fishing rod, Steve. It must have. No, I did not approve to being put on that idiotic. They done that deliberately. Deliberately. They didn't have the spine to show any other snippets of me. Nothing. Just put my face in there so that they can try and tie associations to me. Because you've got all the other morons claiming domes and ice walls and immovable earth and all this rubbish. That's why they put me in that. Without my permission. Mash attracts mash. How does that mass get that mass to go towards it? Huh? Just magic. Just magical. There's nothing going on between them, but it just goes beep, 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 beep. You've been watching too much fucking Star Trek, sir. Far too much Star Trek. And magic shows. How does it get it to go towards it? Huh? An invisible tractor beam or something? Are you daft? Go and make a video of you at the back door. Place a ball on the ground and make the ball come towards you without interacting with it whatsoever. Fucking idiot. What's going on here? Centre of gravity pulls objects towards it. Centre of gravity. Gravity's not a thing. So it doesn't have a centre. They're talking about a mathematical concept, a no thing that has a centre. An undefined, thing of no shape, no substance, no volume, nothing. And then they want to talk about it as if it's got a centre. So in the sphere Earth case, as I said before, right, we've got the sphere, and then we've got a centre, right? Now they imagine that there's a thing in here that acts through all the materials of the Earth, right? Like invisible tethery type rods that grabs onto stuff and pulls it inwards. Or as I said before, the Earth must be surrounded by some sort of medium, right? And the presence of the Earth somehow warps this stuff, this non-stuff again, right? And that stuff, because the Earth there wants to flow towards its centre. So then objects that are out here are now being pushed top down, right, towards the centre. But what would this stuff be? And why would it want to flow towards the centre of the mass? You don't have any stuff. You're saying it's in a void. That's why Einstein's coming out with gibberish about space-time being warped. Space has no properties. Has no substance to it. It's not a thing. Neither's time. So how can you warp and bend it and make it flow anywhere? You better stay off the fucking temazepam, son. That'll be the last I even fucking respond to your lunacy. So say something coherent, or get in here and try and say something coherent. Well, everything I've said makes coherent sense. Everything, just because you don't understand it, and you don't want to understand it, because your faulty religious worldview has been absolutely obliterated. Gav,
Hey, how you doing, man?
how's it going, mate?
All right. Nice.
I'm just going to
Wasn't
change.
back quick enough.
There you go. Alrighty. Can you hear me alright?
I can't see you though.
Oh, I've just changed it. You
Oh,
should,
yeah.
you should be able to see me now. I can see it. It's showing me that it's changed. The video's changed. You can see me.
I can hear you good, damn it.
Yeah. There's no delay or anything, is there? You hearing me up straight away?
No, I can't see you yet.
No, there's obviously a delay here again.
I hear you straight away, but I'm just seeing your logo at the moment.
There must be a delay, Gav.
Ah, all right, there you are now. All right. Found. All right, your video is not in sync with your lips, no. You need new lipstick. Can you hear me?
I can hear you in real time, but there's obviously a delay from mine to yours because you're obviously not hearing me in real time.
No, your picture's way out of whack. Right. I'll join again, huh? Let me try once more.
Cool.
Maybe that'll help.
You can't reason with me, the Prof Simmer, because you don't have anything to reason with me with. All you can do is deny and tell me I don't understand your mathematical gibberish. I'm not interested in your mathematical gibberish. You better just demonstrate whatever it is you're trying to claim. Gav.
It's got a bit better there, but hold on. Let me try again. Alright, can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You're still way out of whack. Maybe I'll go to the sound. I'll switch my video off. At least we can talk to each other and yeah.
It's not that. Hang on. I'm trying to sort this out here with Gav. Oh. Gav.
Dale, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is that am I instant now?
Aye, that's better now, aye.
A bit better.
Sound.
I think there's still a
Aye.
slight. I think there's still a slight delay, but fuck it.
Right, well, better than Nathan. You probably talked quite a few of the points, or I'm not sure where to dive in or where you're at.
I was just talking about the centrifugal aspect, and obviously back to the uniform motion is where I'm at right now, in regards to where we get direction and the density layers and stuff. So I've pretty much covered the usual aspects. Is it a wee delayed again?
Right, well, I mean, I'm at the same place as you. For me, there's only two possible explanations. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep, I can hear you. Just go for it, mate.
You hear me okay? Right. I mean, for me, there's only kind of two possible explanations. There's either something flowing down that pervades everything, right? Or there's something pushing the earth up at a constant velocity from underneath, because you definitely need direction to give anything weight and mass, like the ability to fall, yeah. And I mean, they have to introduce those things as well, even in the mathematical definitions. Velocity has a direction. Velocity is different from speed, right? Mm-hmm. And acceleration is the change in velocity. So they're always building direction into their equations, if you like, right? Which is, a bit of mathematical sophistry. But what you're pointing out is perfectly correct. Without a direction, right, then there's absolutely no way that you can set these, the motion has to have a direction, right? There's no other way around it. And I had a wee look at, Wolfie's fish tank thing there, which, apart from the obvious mistakes in there that, if they're now claiming we're living in a fish tank, then fine. But even some of these, less obvious points, like him claiming that, the fish have a different orientation, or they adjust to it. I mean, these are all kind of arguments that they need to bring in to justify the fact that people on the bottom of the ball would be upside down and we're supposed to not feel that, not see it. Not in any way, experience it, which is, an obvious fallacy, because everybody knows if who's been on a fair ride, right, or any things that, you would always feel the centrifugal forces, right, pushing you back against the walls of things. And I'm pretty sure fish do it as well, right? So it's nonsense to think that, we're orientationless because of this spinning nonsense, yeah? So, I mean, I'm at the same point. I don't know the exact answer to either of the questions where, you get this concept from, right? Whether it's something coming from the top, all pervasive, or something pushing up from the bottom. But both are valid lines of inquiry. And the one where we're pushing something with constant velocity from below, let's say, is the one that's practically demonstrable in nature, right? Where you actually have to push in something. So, that's definitely the favourite at the moment for any inquiry, as far as I can see. And you're quite right to keep pouring the salt in the wound, because they definitely don't want to discuss this topic online. They've tried to, with the Flat Earth Society, I think, choke the argument and make it be ridiculous without, having an honest discussion about it. So, I think you're right to rub the salt, Chief, Let's get it out in the open and discuss it.
Exactly.
Because, we know the other thing's nonsense. We know the spinning ball's nonsense. We know all these false equivalencies. We're talking here about water conforming to the exterior and not inside a fish tank rotating. The false analogies they even have with light's the same thing. They're playing on this whole spherical mathematical concept again.
Yeah.
That light's supposed to be traveling in geodesics, which is a curved line that's not curved. In a bent space-time that's, ruled by spherical geometry or by non-Euclidean geometry. So, I mean, they're always invoking these false analogies to get people, talking about the warp drive. Yeah. And none of it is rooted in any kind of reality, for us down here on Earth, So the quicker it gets out in the open, the better. So I'm glad that you're pushing it and asking these questions.
Aye, exactly. I'm cautious of speaking here because I'm fucking think there's going to be a delay. Obviously there is. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you okay. Your lips are not moving in sync, but it's all right. I'm listening to the audio.
No, that's fine. Even in that, as you said, that a centrifugal force, well, in my understanding, I can't even count that as a force because it's an effect of motion. If I'm correct in saying that, it's not really a force per se, is it? Because it's always the effect. So you need some, you need a pressure to create, even in a merry-go-round, there's levers in there that are one pressing on another, there has to be something that initiates the movement, and then the effect of that is what we call the centrifugal effect, I would say, but...
No, I think you're quite right to say it that way, and it's something they always like to overlook, right? They'll show you a spinning tank, but they won't ask the question or tell you, right, let's start from the beginning, how the fuck is this thing spinning,
Exactly.
right? It's on the earth, it has motors, it has levers, it has pulleys, it has the mechanical things that we use and utilize in everyday life to get the whole thing in motion.
Yeah. See,
absolutely.
They use language.
They love to avoid that.
Aye, and they use language like water will react to or conform to forces acting upon it. So that's why they invoke these false equivalencies like the spinning water tank. You there? Aye, sorry, I must just be the delay. I forget where I was going with that. Fuck, I forget where I was going. It's this delay, it's just fucking throwing me all the time.
It's difficult for me here too to have a conversation.
I know, mate, I know. So...
Still there?
I'm here, can you hear me?
You still there, Dale?
Aye, obviously it's fucking...
Aye. Yeah, you know.
I think
Quiet now.
the delays
There's
get...
something up here with the connection. No, sorry man, that's not so good.
Nah, I don't know if you can hear me here, Gav, but we're probably better off speaking about this.
I'll try again. Let me hang up and try again, Dale. Let's see if it helps.
Cool.
I'm not hearing anything anymore.
I know, Gav, it's impossible for a conversation. Well, I appreciate you coming on anyway, but it just gets infuriating. Right, no worries. Sorry, just as I was saying there, in the cases like, look, what we understand in reality is inclined planes and levers. That's what we utilise in regards to machines. We understand how to create motion. We understand that pressure has to be applied somewhere to something in order to make it move. But in the case like the centrifuge of the spinning tank of water, which are conforms to forces acting upon it. Well, that's the point I was trying to make to that Wolfie clown. He doesn't understand that the initiator of the motion was the pressure that was applied to put the fish tank into a spin. And again, it's not the same, it's not a representation of their globular earth claims, which again I want to highlight for people, is do you not think it's funny that they can't demonstrate in a scaled version of a globular earth convexity upon the water on the outside of any object, right? Standing, static, still body of water, bent on its surface. But they'll jump straight in to show you small scaled representations of a centrifuge, and then when you ask them to demonstrate it on a globe, you're going to get an excuse where they use circular reasoning. It's the earth gets in the way. That's funny because everything else in reality, if it's real, can be demonstrated and scaled practically, utilising and using the substances that you're making a claim about. But yet the globe earth thinks it gets a buy. No chance. What I'm going to do is continually expose it for the religious, faith-based nonsense that it actually is. And proponents like Wolfie and the rest of them are vandals It's not even that, I get better ones. Wait till we see this. Because I put a comment under his video and then we get cretins. Wait till you see this shit. One of the responses from this Wolfie character. Wait till you see this. We've got this guy showing me this. And we've got Wolfie, where is it? He's basically showing me a video of the ISS. Like, that's guys on your TV screen. Those guys on your TV screen are showing you nonsense, because what they're showing you on your TV screen is not a demonstration of how things behave here, where we actually live. The oceans and lakes and all that are not in some reference frame that you see on your TV screen. The guy is a dishonest cretin. Then we get this dipshit. It's not even coming up yet. Why is that not coming up? This is in the comment section. This is one of his sock accounts. Wait till we see. It's not even coming up yet. I'll come back to it. Oh, there it's there. There it's. This is it. This. When asked for proof or demonstration that represents their actual claim, this is what we get. Ta-da! Scientifical, logical, reasoned proofs that all my claims is true because there I showed you on a TV screen. Look, I can move it about and all that. Yes, this is real-time Himawari satellite gibberish. That's the Earth. There, I know that it depicts the Earth contrary to what we know and experience in everyday reality, but that doesn't matter because I'm showing you on my televisions. Fucking imbecilic, gimpy turd. I can play that game as well. Ta-da! I've just proved it. Rotund, bendy waters. There it's there. Proved it. Scientifical and all that stuff. So therefore, if I can make a wee picture of a unicorn up here, maybe a leprechaun at this side, I can prove pretty much anything if I can, like, according to Wolfie and his idiotic, imbecilic, numbskull followers. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Well done, lads. Bop! Maybe I'll just be a voice selling anything, but as I say, I'm going to constantly rub salt in them. I'm going to keep goading them. Because they're liars. And they quite happily lie to your children and generations of children to come. Because all these wee creepy touchers are all invested in this bullshit. Don't start slagging the fine fucking materials. As I said before, I'm aiming for a catalogue slot. I make the clothes look good. Give me a job in your catalogue or something. Thank you very much, Jacqua. Hope you're not touching yourself when you're saying that. Nice one, mate, Robert. Paul, oh, everybody's good. How are you? So anyways, I say, back to Corona rubbish, and for me, you've got all these people with all different theories and notions. You know, there's all this talk of draining the swamp and whatever else, right? Because as I said before, for me it makes sense that you're going to offer people, I spoke about this a long time ago, that you're going to offer people a better way of life. I spoke before about things like the Venus Project and how I can see something like that being utilised in the future. You know, where people are freed from manual labours and have more time to be expressive, spend time with their family, debts are alleviated, taxes are alleviated to a certain point, you know, and life gets a bit easier and a bit better for people, right? But that's just part of the problem again for me, because again people are going to get too comfortable. When for me the real issue is human beings do not know where they are or why they're here. These are the questions that human beings should never, ever lose sight of. Because if you do lose sight of them, you're going to fall into the realms of self-delusion and apathy, where you find a comfort zone, where you can be apathetic with yourself, lazy, and you will never have a clear understanding of what you were a part of. So for me, all this dancing that's going on right now is because of that. Because I guarantee you that whatever system comes next, they're still going to try and maintain globular space fantasy. They're still going to try and maintain some limited perimeter. Because the whole game is dependent upon your consent to be within the confines of the perimeter that they have set out for you. The two fundamental questions must be answered in order for us to have a true grasp on the bigger picture of what we're a part of here. Not saying there's no any importance or relevance to situations going on within the room, but never lose sight of the fact that unless we establish what the room is, where it is, how it came to be, and our place within it, we're forever destined to a life of bewilderment and confusion, regardless of how comfortable and easy that delusion may be. It's still going to be a delusion. Exactly, Gav. Exactly. Because it's that allows these systems of hierarchy to remain. Nice one, Bates. Hopefully we'll get more and more people like that. Well, that's it. That's what it is right now, Trackmatic. Whether or not that's what it was intended to be, or that's what its purpose was, but that's the way it is right now. A petri dish, a eugenics farm. Because that's what we're seeing continually. That's what Big Pharma is, practicing eugenics. We need to break out of the farm. Exactly, Steve HV. Right, I've got a couple of things I want to highlight here. So I said it before, and again, the reason I'm highlighting these people is because I'm in awareness of them. If there's anybody else out there that's looking for, you know, any help in any way possible, then all you need to do is let me know. Right. Fuck is it? Steve, right, you've sent me that many, where the fuck? Steve, you've not sent me the link to... Just bear with me here. Steve, if you're listening, can you send me a link right now on the Gmail to where people can access your album? Because it's eluding me right now. Let me just check the next page here. Right, I've got it. This is Steve Thorne. Anybody that's been, you know, watching here, Steve was responsible for some of the wee music videos. And he's got an album out now. You know, guys like Steve depend on this. This is their income, and right now it's all gone static. But as you can see, you'll see here on the album cover. Hang on a now. I encourage you to check that out. Have a listen. Purchase it if you have the funds to do so, because it would help somebody like Steve. And I'm passionate about helping guys like him out, because guys like him have stuck their hand out to me in the past, and I want to help them, particularly in this time that we're in right now, because remember, people are still dependent upon what we call money. Know that they're orientated by that, but you know, life dictates that they need it. So I've stuck the link in there. I'm going to stick it in again. Check the lyrical content out. I'm sure many will relate to it. Also, you know, the artwork on the album cover. So check it out, people. The other one is a guy called Des Sherwood, who makes his own music. And none of these guys are looking for handouts. They're offering, you know, a decent, good product. You know, you get Steve there that's making the albums. You get Des, who's a musician that makes the album as well, but he also does online tuition. And he's really good. You can see some of the stuff that he's done on his channel that I'm about to share. You can also see some music from students that he's helped. And as I say, he's available for online tuition. In this time, you know, it could be something that would be useful to you. You can learn a new skill. So that's Desi's channel right there. So again, I want to encourage people to help them out. You know, as I said to people before, if you ever wanted to donate something here, and I know that many people have, then go there, buy the album, or buy one of Desi's albums, book them for tuition. Help each other out as best you can. I says, if I can help anybody with anything, people need to let me know. We're no psychics, pineal gland fucking rubbish, new age spiritual hogwash. You need to let things be known, and don't be ashamed. Right? Because at the end of the day, we're all in this situation. Is that the pandemonium? I don't know why people are so ashamed or scared of sticking their hand out to each other. Well, I know why. It's because everybody's running about with a false ego and a narcissistic, you know, attitude that's been sold to you. This Darwinian bollocks. right? We're no fucking animals. We have intelligence. We can empathise with each other. We can reason with each other. We have the ability to place ourselves in other people's situations based on situations that we've lived in the past. We're no really that different. We may have different subjective preferences, likes and dislikes, but at the root of it, we all suffer pain, anxiety, love, hope, happiness. They're universal for the majority. And in my life, I hate to see suffering. I hate to see any anguish or stress on anybody's life because I don't want to deal with it. And I can't be content in life knowing that other people are in that situation. So if we can stop the world for fantasy nonsense, we can fucking stop the world and eradicate all this unnecessary fucking bullshit and start helping each other. Put a proper infrastructure in to support and alleviate stress, anxiety. It doesn't have to be there. There's enough for everybody. We don't need gimpy fucking morons, bureaucrats, we fucking, cliques of fucking derpy idiots trying to fucking make decisions for us. Fuck off! Stop buying into that philosophy of life. It's never going to help you. It's not going to help the generations that are going to follow. They're just bonding them into deeper slavery, deeper dependency. Everybody these days wants to be a superstar and have stature and power over everybody else because they somehow think that's satisfying. Because that philosophy, they're chasing that as a Stockholm syndrome. It's not going to satisfy you, it's going to destroy you. So help each other whenever you can and never be ashamed or scared to ask or to put your hand out without being asked. Exactly, there's another point, Gav, the medical industry. Based on faulty premises and imaginary invisible nonsense. I really see this as an opportunity for us to fucking tear apart every aspect of this. Because people are getting wiser. People are learning the language. People are learning how to spot contradictions, fallacious reasoning, downright barefaced propaganda and subversion of what the actual truth is. And that's just going to keep gathering momentum. What we need to be cautious of is falling into another system of hierarchy and making sure that we're brutal with a zero tolerance for anybody that tries to get in the road. Sandy, I'm sorry to hear that as well, but I know people. There's a guy I know that's in his 60s now, where they injected him with stuff when he was a child for polio or whatever else. They caused a high fever in him, warped his fucking spine, his nervous system, and he's been in a wheelchair since about the age of 8. So he remembers what it was like to not be in that situation. But at the hands of these cunts, robbed him of a quality of experience. Robbed him. And I don't even know, I can't even imagine what that man must feel inside. Because knowing me, I would be a bitter, horrible cunt. But not that man. Hopefully I can get Lawrence to maybe talk about this situation and his experience. Share it with people. Because the man lives isolated and alone the majority of the time. But the man has intelligence, his awareness is there. It's just that the body has been warped and damaged at the hands of these fucking cockroaches. Fuck Russian vids. Away fucking go. I'm not interested in fucking gatekeeping, lying pieces of shit. Fuck 'em. Don't give a fuck what Russian vids or any of these clowns have got to say. Couldn't care less. So, fuck you. Away you go. If you ask me once more about dicks like that, I'm just going to remove you from the chat box. I've got nothing else to say now. Apart from keep vigilant and be careful of what's coming, right? Because life might get better, but please don't let that make you apathetic, right? I can only apologise that we couldn't open up and let you in, because we're just getting problems constantly here with this Google and fucking YouTube. Oh, I'm not interested, Flat Earth Fanatic. I'm really not interested. The guy's a moron. You go and ask him how you get direction in the density layers that we experience in reality. Go and ask him. Guys like him are not interested in investigating and asking real questions. They'll just spout propaganda, fear rubbish at you about the Flat Earth Society. I didn't get this from the Flat Earth Society. I get this over questioning and asking the questions myself. And coming to an understanding that you can't escape. So, I don't know, JT the game. I'm hearing all sorts of stuff. I'm hearing stories that it's for, trafficked children that are being kept in certain facilities. I'm hearing all different stuff. Again, it's always the same. The place gets flooded with all different information, misinformation. The only thing that we can do is open your mind to any possibility. That way you're going to be better prepared, and be vigilant and discerning for everything that's coming. I would love to believe and think that it's all for the good and we're going to be moving into this new golden age, this rubbish. That'd be fucking great. Nobody would embrace it any more than me. A world of justice, equality, freedom, liberty, live and let live. Oh, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm all for it. I don't need that to be implemented by groups of elites. People need to want that for themselves. Not be told. As soon as you're being told and offered a product, you need to be suspicious. What time are we on anyway? Oh, fine. Fuck it. I'll sit about and interact, but you know, I'm interacting based on the chat box, so this is only going to run for as long as people are making relevant points or interesting questions or whatever. You get nothing to say, I've got nothing to say back to you. I've seen this with the 5G stuff as well. See, I don't have any practical hands-on experience in any of that stuff, so I'm ill-equipped to comment one way or the other. The only thing I'm aware of is that people have got suspicions and claims being made and whatever else. And I'm sure there's many sources that you can go and hear what they've got to say on the matter. No, I've not heard anything apart from, I've seen people that are, there's people in the UK and people in other countries that are going to these hospitals and showing that they're quiet. I even watched one where it was a nurse, you know, some mainstream fucking what to do, and as soon as a question was posed, oh, if I get the symptoms, if I have to go to hospital, the nurse is like, no, stay at home, isolate. Again, showing you that there's no need for all these beds in regards to coronavirus. How you doing, Glenn? I love you too. I did, beyond belief. I've not seen anything practical. I'll need to check it again. You called, Glenn? I would say that I felt empathy with you, but I'm kind of finding it difficult considering where I live. I've got a wee fucking tiny violin that I could play a tune for you on, maybe. It's fucking April and I'm still having to put the burner on. I had conversations where people stating they didn't realise how good they had things before the virus. Do you think that life was too comfortable? That's what, you know, that's part of the thing, Joey P. Because people are going to miss aspects, and I think when it all kicks off and they make life a bit better, people are going to embrace it even more so and cherish it even more so, although again they have no clue where they are, why they're here. Go raw vegan. I prefer potatoes boiled and mashed to raw. Sorry. A million lighters. I've got about a million lighters. No worries, Glenn. About issues anyway, there's serious problems going on in regards to, you know, opening a hangout and getting people in. There was a serious delay when Gav was on. So it would have just probably just irritated you anyway, mate. You know. But it's this redistribution of wealth, Jerry, that's part of the problem. Because the wealth is human endeavour. You can go out and sprinkle, you know, £20 notes on the lawn out there I guarantee you that carrots and potatoes and fruit and all that stuff are not going to grow just because you sprinkle, you know, £20 notes on the lawn. It's resources that have to be distributed evenly. No wealth. That is the wealth. Resources. So that's what we should be looking for. Well, the gas being what food is for, Jack, well, that's the problem. That's, you know, what? How does the body actually function? Because you take in liquids, you take in solids, and then the body removes the liquids and the solids and extracts or absorbs what exactly? Same as, you know, I thought about when you sweat. Is it that there's actually liquid coming up through wee chambers and coming through wee openings and spilling out? Or is your temperature increased, therefore the gas expands? The gas then comes through the pores, and as soon as it hits the air it condensates, and that's when you get, you know, what we call liquid. Who knows? I don't know. But I know that my body gets rid of liquids and it gets rid of solid. How that process works, I don't know. That's it, Jack. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying about not knowing fully what this reality is and how it functions and how we're connected to it and how things are actually operating, because we've been sold idiotic, you know, philosophies about what's going on and what reality is and how it functions. You know, and a lot of that's deliberately driven, as Gav was pointing out earlier, the scientific community. You know, the pharmaceutical companies are a huge sway. You know? Huge wealth in regards to that, and it's in their interests that we are not operating at our optimal. It's in their interests that we are sick, so that they can then offer you up, you know, potions. So, like any industry, any business, makes good business sense when you have stuff that breaks or that, you know, doesn't last very long and people will continually keep buying it. So that's, you know, it's like cars. Look at the service industry and the motor trade. It doesn't have to be like that. But they produce one car and they say, okay, well, we're going to sell that for 10,000. We're going to get a profit of such and such. But that car has a projected life expectancy. Now you can make predictions and you know, forecast income based on that one product, because it's going to have bits that are going to break. The majority of these bits are designed to wear and break, so therefore you create a perpetual industry where you can have loads of other middlemen in feeding off it. Well, it doesn't have to be like that. So we're no different. We're part of an industry. We are a product. And they require us to be ill. Just like they require your vehicle to break, designed to do so. So they say, Jaguar, but it still breaks. Might last slightly longer, but they'll still have a service plan all through its life. And being in the motor trade, I know the money that can be generated through a vehicle's life. Well, I've seen that happening, Neil Williams, in the motor trade. started to make, you know, certain tools required to access certain parts, and then you had to buy the specific tool just to get one part off. Then they started with service lights, where the dealership was the only place that could switch off the light. BMW was one of the earliest ones for me that started that. And then people were running about paying £100 just to have a light switched off. I mean, there's loads of, you know, this is what happens when we look at it like this. When you start a system like that, you are talking commerce, we're talking business. You know, you look at any of these people, watch something like Dragon's Den, they're not interested in products that will last a lifetime. So when we keep pandering to a system like that, it's never going to rectify the problem of human illness or, you know, machines breaking, or none of that stuff, because they're not going to allow the tech to advance or show us that tech, because then the industry's kaput. The hierarchy is fucking over. Good quote. To argue with a person who has renounced the use of reason is like administering medicine to the dead. And spot on. Well, you bought a pan-European. So you only like going in straight lines then, V. Thomas? Is that what you're telling me? Huh? I don't know who you are, Jacquard. You've always seemed decent to me. All motorbikes are pretty. All motorbikes are pretty. No, I've not seen that, AB. There you go. Right, I'm Offski Pops. As I say, check out the channels that are linked. Hopefully I can get these issues resolved. I can get you on for a chinwag. So I'm Offski the new people. Take care, see you soon.